That's right. Welcome to the Empower Half Hour, our holiday edition coming up with Frank and I decided to break out the matching hats today.
Yes, sir.
Looking
Hey,
good, Frank.
thank you. I appreciate it. Even Yoda has a little holiday hat on today
Oh,
from
that's a good look.
Southern New Jersey. What's happening?
Man, I am excited to be here. I know that uh, we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to be diving into it quickly. We've got some great happenings, some wonderful events coming up, including where we spend a lot of time today focusing on little events happening over in your neck of the woods, Frank.
Yeah, I think New Jersey is one of the best kept secrets out there. A lot of people have never heard of us, but in all seriousness, we have the New Jersey Association of Middle Level Education, and it is a middle level association. However, the professional development that we offer is relevant for all levels of educators. So we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the presenters. I know I'm going to be there. Bradlee, you're coming all the way in from Wyoming. And then we
That's
have this
right.
guy from up north, Boston, maybe? I don't know, Massachusetts, somewhere up there. And
Somewhere over there.
Matthew X. Joseph, bring him on board.
What's up? How you doing, Matthew?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Great to
Man,
be
it's so
here.
good
Yeah,
to see you. Thank
yeah,
you for
New
joining
Jersey.
us
I was
tonight.
just in New Jersey. I know where that is.
Yeah, you were.
Didn't go very far down. I was just in Jersey City. So,
Yeah, you know what? You know what was crazy is you kept sending me these pictures of people that I've
right?
known for decades. Uh, you just what? You just ran into these people? Like, where do you?
So a couple of them. Well, Frank, I've known Frank for years. We are
Yeah, not
veteran.
not this Frank, but another Frank, Frank Polero.
Yes, Frank P. He and I have been going to Tech and Learning. We presented together a few times, and when I got to the Jersey City event, he brought it up to me. He's like, "Hey, I see you're connected to Frank," and I was like, "It depends. Do I say yes? Do I not say yes?"
Oh, come on,
And
man.
it, turns out you guys work together, and he's just a great guy. And then the superintendent was rattling on about something, and I was pitching the event, and he's like, "Yeah, Frank." Dr. Frank was telling me about. I'm like, what? So yeah, I ran into a couple of your friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to get Frank Polero on the show, but he and I have done some crazy things together with technology back in 1999. I don't know if you guys were around in the
Uh,
last century, but
oh,
we
I
did
was out
some
of college for about
influencing back
six
then.
years, so I don't want to hear
No,
about it.
no. Hey, check this out too. We had actually with Frank Polero and I, we had a Japanese film documentary come into our school, and they were asking us about technology integration, and that was that's a topic for a whole nother show. But let's get back to what you've been doing, Matt. This tech
Matt,
and
Um,
you are
learning.
one of the busiest guys I know. You are everywhere. You have so much going on. It's amazing. And it's all targeted towards promoting education, helping support teachers, getting the voice of other educators out into the world. You are doing it all, man. Tell us a little bit about
well,
what else you have going on in the world of Matthew Joseph.
yeah, well, thanks. I think a lot of it stems from, sadly, a lot of times when we see driven individuals in our field, it comes from something that wasn't a positive experience. And it usually turns out where you then become driven to ensure that doesn't happen. And for me, I know through one of my first publications, it was not the most pleasant, where my voice I felt was lost. I didn't have a lot of input. So when I started to write with Codebreaker and felt that excitement again, and felt like this was me coming out. And then when Brian Aspinall approached me about starting my own kind of publishing arm and bringing some people together, it was like, yes, this is what I should be doing, allowing other people to get their voices out there, get their stories. And in my, as Frank was joking, where were you in 96? Well, I was in my sixth, fourth year of teaching at that point, so I've been around a bit. So in this kind of phase of my professional career, I do still enjoy going to events. I still enjoy speaking and supporting. But when I see somebody else's book and their cover on and it says X Factor on the back, that to me is right now is where my drive is, because there's so many great stories out there, and I know it's not as easy to get some of the opportunities. So when they come along, I want to make sure to promote the people who are making a difference. And for me, one of the things that has been really empowering is to if not a total self-promotion, but biggest piece for X Factor is people in the field doing it. These are individuals who do the practice that they're promoting each and every day, and it comes from an authentic place.
Absolutely.
It's you're amplifying the voices of fellow educators is what I'm hearing you say. And you just find out how small your world is when you run into these people that know these people that know these people at some of these events that you go to, like the tech and learning event that you were at last week.
Yeah, and I think that is so. And again, every time I talk about it, it feels like I'm trying to promote something, but I'm not. But when I wrote The Power of Connections, I've had that opportunity to meet so many people, all in different kind of spaces, because I've had the good fortune in the positions I've had. I was a principal and then a district leader to run in kind of the ASCD curriculum leadership circles, but also very connected to the ed tech world with FETC and tech and learning. So having these pools of individuals to meet, like the last 2 weeks, I was in Nicegate with some amazing individuals, and then again in Jersey City, and just seeing the work that's being done has been amazing, and hearing stories. And at the end of the day, at 51 years old, a doctor in educational leadership, principal, all this stuff, I love to go and learn from these folks. Like, it's so amazing. I'm doing the podcast Stronger Together, and one of the things I've started to do, because I just get to meet so many people, is run promotions for the events. So like FETC is coming on, and I'm having people come on that are going to speak. When at Nicegate, I had people on because I get to meet them and learn from them and see some of the great things they're doing. And then in turn, bring it to my district, bring it to Brockton, and say, hey, this is what I've seen happen in Jersey City, in Rochester, and Buffalo. Let's bring these folks in. And now, this week alone, I had a university reach out and say, hey, why don't you teach the younger educators? So I'm going to start teaching a class. And they didn't want it for just Matt Joseph. They wanted it because of all these different things that are happening. And having that opportunity to show the next generation of educators, this is what it's like. You don't live in a silo. You have to connect with other folks. If you're not continuing to learn, then you're stagnant.
You see what you're doing there, Matt? Do you see what you're doing? You were in New Jersey for a day and a half, and you're talking with your hands.
There it is. I've been close enough for a long time.
Yeah, I've known you through the pandemic for probably around 3 years now, and never have I seen you give it the talking with the New Jersey hands thing. So congratulations, baby.
Well, thank you.
You have arrived.
I fully go in, and if you've seen me at any of these events, I always try to come in with a local college hat or something, because I want to be part of the community. I think it makes it true, and it makes it authentic. It's not like someone's just coming in to pitch something and leave. Like, I believe in what we do, and I believe in what you two do. Like, it's not just for show. Like, and where we are in our profession, we can kind of pick and choose, thankfully, a few things, what you can and can't do, but you want to go with the people who you believe in. It doesn't matter if it's 20 people or if it's 2,000. If you believe in the people, then that makes it important.
That is a great message. That's wonderful. Well, we know, as you said, that you like learning, and I'm looking forward. I love the fact that I know that when we're going to be heading to New Jersey together in March, that I get to learn from you and learn with you.
Yeah.
Give a little insight. Do we get a little sneak peek onto what you might be sharing with us at this conference?
Sure. So I have a few different sessions, and I'm going to be one of the intros with all of you. And the big message that I'm going to really try to get across is that collaboration is a team sport. It sounds like Captain Obvious, right? Like, oh, of course, we're going to collaborate. What does that mean? Because you sit in the same room together, you're a PLC? No, there's actual strategies, there's actual mindsets to working together. And then throughout the day, modeling those sessions. I'm going to do, a session. I don't know which exactly was accepted or not, but I know we were talking through doing some thinking skills. I'm a big advocate for teaching students the thinking strategies, teach them how to think, not just do this, do that, to memorize, really through the lens of critical thinking, through the lens of asking questions, and ingraining that into the instructional practice, and then looking at some active learning strategies. So not only thinking skills, another session is around moving from compliance to creativity and having
Nice.
students create. And at the middle level, especially where they're leaving the elementary, where it's like, oh, we do games, and then it's like, now we got to get you ready for high school. No, that's not exactly right. We still have to have that love of learning. We still have to have that passion. And if we're not allowing kids to discover what's out there, then they're going to get to high school and be like, I'm bored. And
Yep.
if that's the in my, a lot of the things that I do, I've had, again, the good fortune of being at different events and sitting in front of instructional coaches, teachers, assistant principals up to superintendents. And the one common thing, if we continue to build the curiosity in our students and in our teachers, the lessons are going to come. The content's in every textbook that you open. We don't have to train content. We have to train creativity, enthusiasm. And for me, another piece that I'm talking about, the difference between compliance learning, participation really, and transformation of learning engagement.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Hey, congratulations. We are now all compliant. I never got that component of it. But what you just said, I was watching this documentary last year with my family, is this rock climber, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but he said after kindergarten, he was bored. Because when he was 5, he was allowed to investigate, to invent, to inquire, and play. And then after that, it became too standardized and structured that he never was good at formalized school after that. So, wow, what a novel approach to learning.
Right.
Invent, investigate, inquire. Hello.
Right.
Why?
you think, but then these are Captain Obvious statements, but yet they're not happening each and every day.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and you know why they're not happening? Because a lot of educators don't get that support for taking those calculated creative risks.
No,
So,
and it's in this like supervisor way of like, oh, someone's going to catch me doing something wrong, and
yeah.
and it's not focused on the journey. And that's a big message that I try to get with, I'm coaching, aspiring principals, and focus on the journey, not necessarily the end point, because if we celebrate those small wins throughout, then what's going to happen is we develop learners, not just students at the end.
Yeah. And how about this? I mean, we so let's take a step back, and
Go.
what a great approach as a student-centered environment, and then from there. And hey, we like to have fun. So we came up, when I started talking about our conference being in person for the first time in 3 years, and I contacted you guys for some ideas. And hey, I like to have fun. You like to have fun? We needed music. We needed music, so we brought in DJ Phony Stark. And then
I like
talking to Matt, we what a great idea. Instead of one of us or one person doing 50-minute, an hour keynote, why not have 4, 5, 6 people just TED talking it out, and bam, 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 in a barrage of connectors and ideas. So that's what we're trying to put together. And we haven't announced the whole presenter sessions and keynotes yet, but yesterday you guys saw we just announced that we have the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association Visionary Principal of the Year, Stella Wanguma, is coming on board to kick it off with us on the 15th of March 2023. And I'm looking forward to, you guys haven't met her. I've had the privilege
not yet.
I
am looking forward to it.
At her school. But
that is going to be an honor to share the stage.
As it continues to grow, we are going to knock it out of the park.
And each of us, not just the 3 of us, when I say us, the entire, card of people going there, will get more inspired by each other. And I think that's what I have found. And, having this opportunity to see individuals outside of your zip code is very important.
I think a lot of it is one of probably the biggest lesson that I've learned, especially when it came, these past few years with the whole pandemic, is understanding as we're talking to educators from numerous fields, from within their own expertise of professionals, but from different states, and as you said, area codes and zip codes,
Yeah.
is that our realities are not the same. That
No.
we are struggling with very different issues depending on where we're at, but it doesn't delegitimize how important those issues are. And hearing other people's stories of what they're combating and what they're dealing with, but then being able to share those stories and also helping each other find solutions has been incredibly empowering, eye-opening, and inspiring.
Yeah, and just getting that different perspective. And I think in one of the things that Frank said at the top of the show was that not only is this the event is titled the Middle Educators Community, but anybody can attend and learn from this and getting those different perspectives. Like I'm coming from an elementary lens, and even this week when I was meeting with Stonehill, the college, and they're like, "Tell us how you would teach the class," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to teach you like a second grade class," and they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, well, that's my bread and butter. That's what I did. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm going to do some dissemination of information. Then I'm going to break into centers. I don't care they're 20. They're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, learn from each other, and then report out at the end. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, that's second grade. Like, that's what we did in centers. Like, we can do that as adults. We can do that as 50-year-olds. Or, I won't loop you into our age bracket, Bradlee. But,
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Get back to the student-centered environment too. One thing I've been doing this school year is getting out to different middle schools and empowering their students to facilitate rather than just be passive listeners. And one of the biggest thrills I got as a principal was to see a student start facilitating the same, whether it be a team building or a connector or a leadership activity, is to actually go full circle. And if we could pull this off, I know we're talking about, we still haven't gotten the full script of presenters yet, but I've been talking about for years, and Bradlee knows, one of my former students who wasn't born on a level playing field like the rest of us.
Right.
And her name's Julie. It's going to go full circle to see she's a teacher that was born with cerebral palsy who is now in her fourth year of teaching, and to have her and Stella and you guys, and it's just going to. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a little fired up here.
I can tell. I can see your cadence going up a little bit. I see you getting excited. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, Julie is one of those educators that I'm really grateful that Frank introduced me to, because I've been able to be in touch with her since that day and just been constantly inspired by not just the work that she's doing in the classroom, but who she is as a person. She's just awesome. So definitely looking forward to being able to spend some more time.
Awesome. And she's teaching in South Carolina, so we're going to bring in some representation.
I like it
geographically.
That works.
So Matt, tell us. I want to get your insight on this next question as we're kind of moving towards the end here. Where do you see education going? We've been dealing with a lot of issues lately. We're seeing an incredible struggle right now with educators leaving the education field, but we're also seeing an increase in a lot of like when it comes to coding in classrooms, we're seeing that increase in learning by doing. But what's going to be the next thing? What do you see on the horizon for education coming up in the next 2-3 years?
Yeah, I definitely see the learning by doing, and it's going to look different in different realms. But for me, I think what we're going to see different is assessment is going to be different. Because I'm going to go back to my instructional leader hat for a minute. I'd love to talk about creating, just like at Google, and they can walk around and kids can. I'd love to have that like vision, but I also have to balance in some of the reality of where we are, the federal funds, the assessment. Like I get that. Like I'd love to go down that road of like we're going to create a flexible this and that. That's fabulous. But where I see where we can make the biggest shift is in assessment, podcasts, TV, broadcasts. White papers, different ways to show student learning. Because when we get back to the learning aspect of it, coding, whatever it is, learning by doing, that for me, the biggest thing that we can do for our field is to move away from the current practice of teach, learn, assess. We miss the part of transfer. How are students transferring what they learned? So, and it's such an adult-driven kind of assessment now. Why don't we ask the kids? Okay, here's what I want you to learn. Tell us how you're going to show it. Because for me, and I know Frank is very similar, and I don't know you enough yet, but I know you're very, you like to present. You're vocal. You're creative. But if the three of us were asked to write a paper, we're not going to do as well. And I'm not talking about writing skills at all, but we would not choose that if to do something fun and presenting like this. Someone else would rather sit, write, and turn that in. If the biggest thing I think we're going to move to is the creative piece or a project. Why don't they build something, build an app? That will show you if we learn this. So I think in a very reality world, the next phase is allowing students to differentiate how they can show they've mastered a skill.
That is fantastic. Already, just hearing you talk about that's got my brain going on like, oh, how can I do that in my classes?
Yeah, you have a lot of performance based. You have a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
You have in that, if they can reach that, why does it have to be a 5-paragraph essay when they can do a 15-minute podcast and add graphics and add history and add sites and citing as well?
Brilliant. I love it. Well, if that's where you're seeing it going,
I don't know if that's where we're going. That's where I hope we go to, because that's
I'm gonna help out with it. I'm gonna start, and I will report back on how it goes this next semester. I love it. I'm on board.
Wonderful. Good.
Hey, how about this, Matt? You stick your 20-year-olds in a room, and I constantly compare. Hey, to settle down. I constantly compare middle schoolers to the university students that I have.
Right.
And whether we do the same team building, and who's better, the middle schooler or the university student? It's the middle schooler hasn't yet been stuck so far in that box, whereas the university student sometimes is so far down in that box that it needs to be ripped apart. How about you take your 20-year-olds and stick them in a room for a weekend and tell them they have to build a Rube Goldberg machine that lasts at least 5 minutes and see what they come up with. I mean, I stick the three of us in a room for a half a day, and we have to do that same assignment. I mean, that's what it shows. Wow, that's technology. That's covering a lot of different avenues of teaching and learning, but we don't have that luxury because, well, some people are still trying to teach you that test.
Yeah, and we see a lot of successful individuals who are driven and succeed, but do it a different way and are not. I mean, look at the universities now. They're starting to go to test optional. Trust me, if they could not go to that, they wouldn't. But they're seeing the value of getting well-rounded learners, not just the ones that can take a test.
No doubt. While we're talking about this whole thing,
Go.
one thing I knew I was going to this middle school, and I gave them a plastic spoon, paper roll, and tape, and they had to build a catapult that launched. I had two different things: one a marble, and one was a die, and did the same thing with university students. Now, whose do you think went the furthest?
Oh, that's not even a choice. Like I can already tell you just by the lead-in. Like once you remove the yeah buts from the conversation, you're going to get a lot more of a product-based focus.
No doubt.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, we are certainly looking forward to learning with you, to hearing from you, to attending your sessions.
Yeah, and just to get to meet. That'd be great.
Yes. It is so wild. I love that those times where we've known each other for quite some time now, but being able to actually be in person, be in the same place at the same time, go drop into Philly and go get a cheesesteak. Whatever we do is going to be awesome.
I like it.
Frank, how do people register for this event?
Well, check it out on the Njamle website, njamle.org, and you can just scroll down. You'll see the conference registration, and actually the call for presenters ends today, but keep sending them in until the end of the week, and I'll make it happen as far as I'll get
a guy, right?
Presentation reviewed. I know a guy, but I'm not the guy, so I'm just saying I know a gal. So between the two of us, somebody will get something done. But there is going to be so much going on at this conference, and I guarantee you will be fired up. That's the only guarantee I can
All
make.
right. I like it.
It'll
And
be
being with
wonderful.
you guys, and it's wow.
So
You're fired
Matthew,
up
thank you
already.
so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure always. Thanks for your insight. Thanks for all the work that you do in getting others' voices out there about education
Sure.
and making a real change in the world. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's great to see you guys, and we'll see you in person pretty soon.
All right.
Our
And
connections.
everyone else, thanks for
There you
tuning
go.
into the Empower Half Hour. We'll catch you next time.
Cool.
Peace and love always.